If you have any questions now, I'm willing to take questions. How much does he eat? He eats 200 grams. I feed him 200 grams, sometimes a little bit more. If he's uncooperative, he doesn't eat as much. Like if he's not being good, he's not getting food rewards, and he doesn't eat as much. And that tends to motivate him. And I'm not starving him, don't worry.
So how many mice does that equate to?
It depends. If it's small mice, it's more. If it's big mice, it's less. It depends. 200 grams.
Amanda, I want to know something. How come his eyes aren't yellow?
Because he hasn't fully matured yet. So they lighten as they get older. So even in the last couple of months, I've seen them getting lighter. But he's just not at that point. And for some of them, their eyes don't get super light even. So. I feed him mice and rats, fish. But that's really it. I give him a chick every once in a while, but he's not as big of a fan of chicks. Every Wednesday for all of our education birds, so all of the hawks and owls and falcon, all those birds, we feed them a chick with supplements on it. But Buddy is just not a very big fan of it, so I don't usually do it. I just give him. He likes mice quite a bit.
What was your experience prior to working with Buddy?
I've worked at several nonprofits. I've worked at a few small nonprofits and larger ones. Most recently, before coming to the Wildlife Center, I worked at Educational Testing Service in their Human Resources Department. Although it was a weird name, it was Strategic Workforce Solutions, whatever, fancy. But so I did client interviews, like internal client interviews with the organization. So that's where my people, talking skills come in. And I also worked at a park as a naturalist. So I worked with our education animals, particularly reptiles. I'm a big reptile fan. And I did tours of the center, of the nature center there, and of the park.
How much does he weigh?
He weighs about 7 pounds. He weighs 3 kilograms. It's a little less than 7 pounds.
He's so limited in any wild sense of hearing, and has any study ever been done on whether his hearing would be as good as a natural eagle's, how it would compare to a wild bird?
No, we haven't done any studies on that. I'm not sure if there are studies on captive eagles versus wild eagles. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Has he shown any nesting behaviors or anything like that?
No.
Oh, wow.
He hasn't. He hasn't shown any inclination towards that. We would give him sticks and trees in the past, and he just hasn't shown any interest in that. No.
So when you work on his beak, do you have to restrain him for that?
Yeah, I don't have anything to do with it because it's a really negative thing, and everything that he ever does with me is positive.
Keep you out of the loop. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So if they're doing it, I don't go back there. He doesn't see me. He doesn't
anesthetize him?
They used to sedate him. They used to anesthetize him. But he's gotten to the point now, 5 years, you figure he gets it every 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's too much.
He doesn't need to get, he's at the point now where he's just like, okay, get it over with. And it's not as big of a deal. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was her. Yep.
When was the last time his beak was trimmed?
It was just a couple of weeks ago. It might have even been last week, but my timeline is messed up. I'm terrible. It's the other day.
Will you breed him at some point?
Will I what?
Breed him?
No. We don't breed our education animals, no. He won't have that opportunity, unfortunately.
What other sounds can he make?
He yells at me quite a bit.
Does he?
So that you heard that little chirping
cheep.
noise. He makes little breathy noises. Sometimes when I ask him to step up, it's sort of like I'm like, no, I don't want to. But he does these little breathy noises, and he also does the cackle. Like if you're familiar with eagles, they do the squeaky cackle, and he sort of throws his head back a little bit. But those are the only vocalizations I've really heard him make. It's interesting when I'm working with him, he does yell at me sometimes, and I know it's yelling. I know it's a displeasure. Like if he gets frustrated with me, if I'm asking him to do something that he doesn't want to do, or if he doesn't understand what I'm doing, he'll vocalize. And you can also see his features change, like on his so the feathers on top of their head, we call those the hackles. So when they get agitated, they'll raise their hackles, just like a dog does on their back. Eagles will do the same thing. So if he gets agitated, he'll put up his hackles, and you can almost see his brow, the muscles there change a little bit, and he looks he looks frustrated. Like if you could anthropomorphize that, I would say he's frustrated.
How long have you worked with Buddy, and how long will you continue working with him?
So I've been working with him since February, and I will continue to work with him until I'm not at the wildlife center anymore, which will be hopefully forever. That's my plan. It's going to be an ongoing process. I don't anticipate that Buddy's training will ever really stop. There'll be some level of training forever.
You switched trainers so many times before.
Oh, right, yeah. No, I have no plans of stopping. I like working with him. It's a lot of fun for me, and I don't have plans for leave. The last trainer, she left the wildlife center. I don't plan on doing that, and as long as I'm there, I plan on working with him.
What's the incidence of the illness that he has incurred?
I'm sorry?
What's the incidence of the illness that Buddy has experienced?
I'm not sure. We don't receive too many patients in general that have it. I know a couple of years ago we received a mourning dove that had avian pox, and I think last year we admitted a few. I might even be overestimating that. But I don't feel like we see it a ton. And we don't see it a ton in eagles. Most of our eagle patients are lead toxicity. So eagles, is anyone familiar with lead toxicity, or some of you? Okay, so for eagles, they're scavengers in the wild, so they eat the dead things. That can be problematic if, for example, if a hunter uses lead bullets or lead buckshot and then field dresses their game, like let's imagine they shot a deer, they field dress the game, they leave the entrails behind, and the meat can become contaminated with the lead. And raptors, like eagles and vultures, are particularly susceptible to lead toxicity. So they become very sick. It causes neurologic symptoms. They can die from it. We have to treat them. Many of our eagle patients, almost all of them, I think it was well more than half of our patients last year, had some level of lead in their blood, and at least half of them had to be treated for it. So it's a real problem, and the Wildlife Center definitely supports using non-lead ammunition, or if you do use lead ammunition, to just clean up your, don't leave anything behind, or if you do leave something behind, cover it so that they can't find it. Eagles don't have a sense of smell, so they can't smell their food, so they're not going to find if you completely cover it, but vultures do. We believe vultures have a sense of smell, so even covering it, at least they can't see it. But just something to think about if you are a hunter, if you have a hunter in your family. We do have a paper on it on our website, wildlifecenter.org. You can find more information about lead toxicity in raptors.
Do you ever let him associate with other eagles? Have you ever seen him?
No.
How he would associate with
No, we haven't. I mean, no. We don't really do that. I mean, in general, other than mating, they wouldn't really be hanging out with, you know.
That's what I mean. He wouldn't behave.
No.
He's only had human beings.
Right, yes. Yes, he has had only humans. Yep. But I mean, this is his job. This is what he does. We don't have another eagle at the Wildlife Center. So he has a really important job. I mean, he reached thousands and thousands of people already in his life. So I really feel like even though he doesn't live in the wild, his life couldn't have more meaning. If he was a wild bird, it would have less meaning than his life does right now.
He wouldn't be living if
Yeah,
it
he
weren't
wouldn't
for
be
you.
living if it wasn't for the wildlife
Right?
center.
Yeah, he wouldn't be alive, and if he wasn't doing this, he wouldn't be alive.
What
So
about
this
pack
is,
animals anyway?
right, exactly. Yes, it's not like
Sure.
he's missing out on some integral social aspect of his life. He's just not going to mate, but really, that's not the end of the world.
He doesn't send the other eagles at his center.
They don't communicate that. So thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I can't get to everyone's questions.
That's
but,
wonderful.
Thank you so much for coming.
We do have another program scheduled for 3. So I think Raina and Buddy are available for some quick pictures if you'd like. And we still have some refreshments if you want to do that. But we will ask everybody if you can maybe try to be moving out by about 2:30 so that the next group can come in. We would really appreciate that. But we're really happy you came today.